Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to your weekly podcast of Interview of the Week. I'm your host, Hugo Leiva, and I think we're about to start, so let's go on with the music. Okay, so now we're ready to start. I must remind you, this is BBC Radio 1. I'm your host, Hugo Leiva, and today we are doing the weekly interview. Today's weekly interview is about Julio Zunino, an expert sailor, professional from Barcelona. He's 16, and coronavirus, as much as anybody, has affected his life in many ways. But one of the things that he loves the most, which is sailing, has been completely stopped. At least he could do some sport. We're going to talk with him in about 2 minutes. So let me introduce you. As you know, everybody that has been doing sport lately has done it at home or either inside their neighborhood. So going into the sea was completely impossible due to the coronavirus case. Everybody has been torn apart from their daily activity, sports, and eventually has been a trouble. But now with some countries, like here in Barcelona, we have phases of de-escalation. So in phase 2, some people could go and do their professional activities only, not as simple sport, and go back to the sea or going back to the pool, such as the case of Julio Zunino. So now let's start with him. Let's start the interview of the week. Hello, Julio. How are you?
Hello, Hugo. I am very well. How are you doing today?
So can you tell us about your experience with coronavirus and everything?
Yeah, as you all know, coronavirus, we have felt everywhere around the world. Every inch has felt the effects of coronavirus. For me, as a sporter, I have been grounded from doing sailing or basically any sports going outside. Thankfully, we have gone to phase 2, which now we can go out from time to time.
Yeah, so that gives a lot of space, and now you're a bit relaxed, yeah, of course. So, we're gonna start with the questions, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Shoot.
Okay, so about the first question, I must ask, what was the last day that you went sailing? Since here in Spain we had the emergency lockdown in the 30th of March.
Oof, it's been so long, I can barely remember. I think the last time I touched the water was about 3 months ago.
3 months? Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. It's been painful.
So, you've been sailing since how many years now?
I have been sailing about 8 years in my life.
Well, that's a lot of sailing. And how many hours a week do you do, more or less?
I do, on average, about 20 hours a day.
20 hours. Wow. So, of course, sailing takes a lot of physical effort, so you must do another sport that is not sailing. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was the hard part during this quarantine. I think I drove my neighbor insane. At 8 o'clock, I used to wake up and start jump roping or push-ups or abdominals. I don't know, whatever I could get my hands on. And after the phase 1, they asked us to go out, which was awesome. So I could go out for a few runs and slowly worked on my strength.
Mm-hmm. So how many miles do you run every day?
I run about 10 miles per day.
Oh my God. Okay. That's a bit of an effort, I must say. I don't think I could run 10 miles.
Yeah, it is quite a challenge.
Yeah, and a talent, I must say. So the last championship, do you remember? It must have been, of course, before lockdown. Are you seeing into any championships next?
Right now, we're a little bit stopped. Like, the government of Spain does not let us train, does not let us do anything that's basically organized for the moment. We have to wait for it to respond. We are still waiting on information.
Okay. But you've been able to go back and sail in phase 2, right?
No, I have not.
So you haven't sailed yet. When do you think you will be able, even if it's not a championship or professional?
I think I will be able to sail next week, which is phase 2.
Oh, well, that's quite soon.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
A lot sooner than I expected.
yeah. Very good. Well, thank you very much for having us, Julio. I hope you
Thank you for inviting me.
I hope you can have a good sailing back in the sea as soon as you can.
Yep. See you later. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much, Julio.
Bye.
And that was the interview of the week. We must say, coronavirus has affected us in so many ways. I think the whole world has stopped, right? But seems like Julio has a good of a story. He's gonna go sailing next week, which is his most loved passion. So we have another interview next week. We hope you liked this one from today. Now let's go back with the BBC One news. Thank you for listening, us.